Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering the Bud Light controversy. The Bud Light disaster has moved into a full Bud Light crisis. People don't want the product. They don't even want it for free. Clay Travis, founder of Outkick, conducted a free beer experiment just to see if people would even take the product for free. He then concluded people don't want to be seen with Bud Light and says there's no quick fix to the slaughtered brand. There really is no quick fix to the brand. With brands, it's all about identity and association. Bud Light never made you look cool if you're drinking Bud Light. It didn't make you look special. It didn't make you look rich. Louis Vuitton is a high-end brand that's owned by a company that owns a ton of high-end brands. They understand branding. They charge over $2,000 for this bag. Why can they get $2,000 for it? Because it's good quality, but the brand is known as a prestigious brand. Bud Light wasn't prestigious, but it was cool. It was fine. Everybody understood what the product was and they were willing to buy it. Now they've gone ahead and associated Bud Light with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. And they did it in such a way that it appeared they were changing all of their production of all of their cans to be featured with Dylan Mulvaney's face. The problem there is people don't necessarily want to be associated with that. And while the CEO of the global parent company of Bud Light has said, oh, it's all just misinformation, it's the fault of the social media, it's the fault of the public, they did nothing to push back on the misunderstanding. They just let it get worse and worse until there was a full-fledged national boycott. And the boycott's gone beyond a boycott. People are no longer interested in this brand at all. Even today, there's no Bud Light marketing that makes you think they've corrected this situation. Now let's get into this article. Before we do, please be sure you're subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications and give me a thumbs up. Really appreciate you guys. So Clay Travis did this experiment. Here's what happened. On Monday, he shared the results of his weekend free beer experiment, offering people free cans from a cooler at a concert in Nashville and concluding that people will actively avoid Bud Light, even for free. The Outkick founder posted on Twitter a video of a cooler filled with 3 different kinds of beer. He said he allowed passers-by to pick up whichever beer they wanted. A later video showed the cooler again, now almost exclusively filled with Bud Light. Travis said people had avoided Bud Light all night and reflected that a big issue going forward for Bud Light is that many people don't want to be seen with the product. They just pick another brand. Imagine if Disney tomorrow just started marketing all of their princesses as trans princesses, or decided they were going to make everyone in all of their movies gay, or completely only of one gender or of one skin color. There would be a major pushback. This is what Bud Light did. They probably didn't do it intentionally because it seems like when they're pushing their agenda, they're doing it slowly but surely over time. But I mean, come on. Obviously, if all of a sudden all the Marvel superheroes were supposed to be of one gender, were supposed to all be gay, or were all supposed to be trans, they know there'd be a massive pushback to that. This is what Bud Light did. This is what they're paying the price for. Bud Light has been at the center, of course, of controversy since the decision to feature transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney in a promotional campaign on April 1st. Conservative voices urged a boycott of the brand, pulling it into the culture wars and tanking sales. Well, it really wasn't any major people. Of course, Kid Rock did his video where he was shooting up cans of Bud Light. But that wasn't what really convinced people to say, I don't want to be associated with this brand. It was the promotion with Dylan Mulvaney that the company misrepresented to the public. They can blame social media all they want, but if the marketing got away from them, it was their responsibility to step in there and make massive public announcements and interviews and just discuss with people and have press releases and say, hey, look, we're happy for Dylan, but this is not what the company is all about. They needed to be courageous and do what they had to do. Being courageous just does not always mean pushing whatever the woke agenda is. In the first video, Travis narrates his experiment. He explains that he's put 3 types of beer in a cooler, including Michelob Ultra, Yuengling, and Bud Light. In the later video, apparently posted at 10:15, he said, I'm not a marketing expert, but the only beer left at the event, Bud Light, not ideal, not good. In a follow-up post referring to figures from Beard Business Daily from the end of April, Travis knows that overall consumption of Bud Light is now down 26%. When we talk about consumption, he's talking about sales. Consumption is probably considerably worse than that. Selling is not consuming. First lesson in marketing, if your customer doesn't consume your product, you haven't technically really sold it to them because you can't resell a customer that doesn't enjoy and use your product. He added, that's an unmitigated disaster for the brand, and many are now avoiding the beer to avoid being mocked for drinking the beer. Exactly. Just the same way, if you are a woman and you walk around with a $2,000 bag, it gets attention. That's why the brands are successful. That's why high-end brands are able to charge this and make a huge profit. But if you associate with a brand like Bud Light, it does not help you socially. Purchasing branded products is something that people do for social effect. Think of all the apparel, sneakers, clothes. People do buy branded products and they expect to get attention. This is not the kind of attention that people are looking for. Quote, there's no quick fix here. The brand is slaughtered in red state beer drinking communities, and not by 20%. Those are the areas that are like 80, 90% destroyed. Covered that yesterday. One bar that says their sales are down 89% on Bud Light. The popularity crisis for Bud Light stems from a sponsorship deal announced in April with TikToker and influencer Dylan Mulvaney, a transgender influencer from California. Mulvaney had previously gone viral among conservatives for an interview with Joe Biden for Now This News. Mulvaney was then recruited to promote Bud Light during the March Madness basketball tournament. Bud Light's vice president of marketing said the brand had already been in a decline for a really long time, and the drive was to attract young drinkers to come and drink the brand. The ridiculousness here is that the decline is a secular decline. It's an industry decline for light beer. It's not that Bud Light wasn't doing well. In addition, Bud Light decided to cut their marketing budget really aggressively the last several years. Of course, the sales are going to go down if you're going to cut the marketing budget. And why are they cutting the marketing budget? Probably because they don't like what they're known for. They don't like the brand, and they have some larger, darker agenda about taking fun out of anything associated with any of their brands. Bud Light's now apparently fired vice president of marketing had said at the time the brand was fratty and was out of touch. In response, a number of conservative voices pushed a boycott of parent company Anheuser-Busch products, among them Kid Rock and Tomi Lahren. Some $5 billion was wiped off the value of the stock. In light of the controversy, Anheuser-Busch CEO Michel Doukeris appeared to distance the company from the promotion in a call with investors last week. Doukeris said, we need to clarify the facts that this was one can, one influencer, one post, and not a campaign. We will continue to learn, meet the moment in time, all be stronger. We will work tirelessly to do what we do best, bring people together over a beer and creating a future of more cheers. Well, there will be no cheers for this brand because this brand has destroyed itself with this association. Now, this is interesting just to understand what college students think of Bud Light and what they think of what they've done with the branding. The managing editor of Reflector magazine, I interviewed students about Bud Light's controversy and got transphobic comments. Does this matter? 3 Georgia students were openly transphobic, supposedly, when asked about the transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney and Bud Light's controversial partnership in the Henderson Library on April 11th. So this is almost immediately after it happened. Out of 9 interviews, she would never have predicted that students would be openly transphobic and comfortable with their names being attached to the published comments. The names have been removed, but this is how people really feel, and they don't mind putting their name behind it. Quote, I don't really like it because I feel Dylan is trying to appropriate women. How come actual women don't get to be recognized? She spent a whole year doing girlhood and she gets recognized. From another student, I didn't even know who that was until they announced they were partnering together. I believe there's 2 genders and you're biologically what you are born. That might not even be together with the Bud Light thing, but I think they're going to lose a lot of customers. From another student, I don't believe in thinking that you can be a girl and a boy, and so I think the whole thing is completely wrong. Obviously, they are not aware of who their consumer is. Carmelo Pescore is a sophomore transgender student. He agreed to be named and reacted to these comments. While he expected some offensive comments, he was still shocked at students' arguments and remarks. Quote, we're real people. It doesn't have to be for you. We're just allowed to exist. It's important that trans students know what other students think about them, Pescore said. A false sense of safety is scary. Their chief diversity officer at Georgia Southern declined an in-person interview and only accepted questions through email. He chose not to directly comment on the students transphobic comments. Instead, he addressed the concern of a safe environment on campus. The safety of all of our students is a priority at our university, which includes the safety of our LGBTQ students. Our faculty, staff, and students work to create and sustain a safe environment on campus, which has resulted in the Campus Pride Index's national listing. So, of course, people are entitled to make whatever life choices they want. The problem is the close association and the pushing of this in literally everyone's face. And here's a good comment. I honestly feel like if seeing a transgender person on a beer can is going to be the reason why you don't buy the beer, then just pick another brand. It's never that deep. If you don't like it, find a different brand to drink. There's no reason to spread hate. Well, that's kind of the whole point. People have found other brands. Every percentage point of business that Bud Light has lost has gone to their direct competitors, which is why they're very close to no longer being the number one brand. And of course, after this summer, they will have lost their number one brand position. They're presently at around number 4, but they will have lost it permanently. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Are you surprised that Clay Travis's experiment worked out this way, where people were not interested in the Bud Light beer at all? They just left it in the cooler, and all the other beer got taken out of the cooler pretty much. They just can't even give the beer away for free. Also, are you surprised to hear that students have basically very traditional views? That Dylan's trying to appropriate women, that it's not appropriate for the brand to do this, that people believe that you're born either a girl or a boy? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.